rigorous training in food preparation and handling for many Barbadians before the ICC T20 World Cup. Government introduces legislation to ensure vessel-related and water sports activities. An injection in agriculture through the Farmers' Empowerment and Enfranchisement Drive. And in sports, the Windies ready for a virtual must-win World Cup match against Uganda.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. Barbadians involved in food preparation, handling and inspection went through some rigorous training processes before the start of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup matches. This was the highlight by several United Nations organizations based in Barbados as World Food Safety Day was observed today. Wendy Burke has that report.
Comprehensive training was provided for people preparing and handling food, as well as other stakeholders prior to the ICC T20 World Cup. The Pan American Health Organization was one of the key agencies working with the Ministry of Health and Wellness facilitating the process. Dr. Prajot Singh is PAHO Advisor, Health Surveillance, Disease Prevention and Control. He says with the World Cup expected to attract thousands of visitors, all measures were taken to ensure there was no outbreak of foodborne illnesses. Dr. Singh says PAHO has been working to conduct outbreak investigations and food safety training, as well as sensitization workshops.
So Barbados has been doing pretty good amongst other countries also. We see currently the practices, the food handling practices that are being done and conducted at the site, at the event site, and they have been pretty good. We ourselves have been training the Ministry of Health and Wellness on major initiatives related to food safety. We have done trainings of environmental health staff in ensuring and making sure how to actually do these assessments. Dr.
Singh adds that while the Ministry of Health is responsible for enforcing good food safety practices, consumers have a role to play as well.
As PAHO and WHO and FAO advise that we should all follow 5 basic practices of food safety, which is to keep it clean, to make sure that the cooked food and uncooked food is separate, that we cook our food very thoroughly, that when we store our food, we store it at safe temperatures. So when you say safe temperatures, either put it at -5 or below, or keep it at 60 degrees centigrade and above. And you don't want to keep the food between that. Let's say you cook your food and you cook food and keep it out for 4 or 5 hours.
The Food and Agriculture Organization was also involved in the sensitization efforts. Sub-regional coordinator for the Caribbean, Dr. Renata Clark, says Barbados and other countries in the region must be applauded for working with relevant agencies to make sure food safety guidelines and recommendations are maintained.
And that people can enjoy Barbados, enjoy the World Cup cricket without having to wonder, is this safe? It is safe because there's been a history of information about food safety, and leading up to the event, the government had the foresight to be reminding vendors and retraining vendors. Okay. So it's important that people understand that food safety, we can't ever be complacent about food safety. We have to keep working for food safety, and this is the whole point of World Food Safety Day, to keep awareness high because it is a shared responsibility.
Representative of the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation, ICA, on Agriculture Delegation in Barbados, Alistair Glean, stresses that evidence shows that annually people get sick from eating food. He says this is why observing World Food Safety Day is important to highlight the value of producing safe food. Emphasizing the point, Mr. Glean refers to a video circulating recently in another Caribbean country showing a consumer highlighting rotted food they had bought.
And for ICA, this is one of our flagship programs. We have 6 flagship programs. This is one of them, Agriculture and Food Safety. And for us, earlier this year, in partnership with USDA, we would have facilitated the training of an estimated 20 businesses in Barbados to become PCQI, and that is Preventive Controls Preventive Controls Qualified Individual, and as part of the U.S. Food Safety Modernization Act, FSMA, it requires that each business exporting to the U.S. has a PCQI person on their staff, and that's important if we are to access overseas markets.
The theme for this year's World Food Safety Day is Prepare for the Unexpected.
Moving now from the food security for the ICC T20 World Cup to the excitement of the games. Tomorrow's match between England and Australia at Kensington Oval is anticipated to be one of the biggest matchups of the group phase. Cricketing fans unable to secure a seat at the Mecca to take in the action are being invited to view the match at an event dubbed Legends Limes at some of the nearby watering holes. Chief Executive Officer of the National Cultural Foundation, Carol Roberts-Reefer, is encouraging all to come out and see the epic battle as the two cricketing powerhouses go head-to-head at 1 p.m.
Of course, we have a special interest in watching two bowlers in particular on the English team. And then at 8:30 tomorrow night, our own West Indies, the men in maroon, will take on Uganda. And it's again one of those matches that we're watching very, very carefully to see who will advance to the next round in this World Cup.
Now, viewing options include the Fan Zone at the new Pelican Lifestyle Centre, Super Q at Holborn Circle, the Wicket Keeper or Cricket Legends on Fontebelle, the Rihanna Drive where the community will be hosting the public. Fans are also invited to stay on for the West Indies versus Uganda match set to begin at 8:30 p.m. and they need not worry about security or getting back to their vehicles as the NCF has that covered.
We're going to be ensuring that the lighting in these park and ride locations is more than adequate. And then at the end of the West Indies versus Uganda match, we'll be providing an additional layer of shuttles, an additional shuttle service to get you back to your original parking spot absolutely free of charge. So come on down tomorrow and spend the day with us, either at the home of cricket legends, and that would be our Mecca, Kensington Oval, or of course the home of our legend, the national hero, Rihanna.
The agricultural sector is set to get a much-needed injection through the Farmers Empowerment and Enfranchisement Drive program. Already, 1,200 people have been trained out of a pool of about 2,000 applicants, and approximately 350 have been placed on lands to farm. That's according to Agricultural Services Division Manager at the Barbados Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation, Dr. Jamichael Andwele. Rachel Agard interviewed him and filed this report.
More young people are showing an interest in agriculture, specifically in the newer markets within the Farmers Empowerment and Enfranchisement Drive program. An Agricultural Services Division Manager at the Barbados Agricultural Development and Marketing Corporation, Dr. Jamichael Andwele, says they are gravitating more towards the technologically driven forms of agriculture. He says there is a lot of interest in aquaponics, which is considered a niche market, as well as apiculture or beekeeping, which is slowly picking up as officials push the production of local honey and honey-based products.
Many persons, when they come to us for land, they only think that agriculture is traditional crop farming, open field traditional crop farming. But when we expose them to all the different production systems that are involved in agriculture, for example, aquaponics, hydroponics, fruit tree production, agroforestry, apiculture, that is something that we also push to the interested persons as well, which is beekeeping, right? And we have trainers, we have experts across the island who actually do the training with the farmers online. And so many persons will come in to do crop farming, but then by the end of the training, by the end of the 3 months, they say, you know what, I would like to establish, some hives and see if we can harvest the honey because it's very, very interesting.
Additionally, Dr. Andwele says the water augmentation program will see more crops being produced across the island. And new water systems to be placed in Spencer's Christchurch, Bath and Wakefield St. John, and Mount Poyer St. Lucie will assist in this regard.
We're looking at some of the root crops, sweet potatoes, cassava as well, but some of the, let's say, cash crops, the pumpkin, the melons, or whatever the case may be, but also like local carrots. Local carrots is very, very popular. A lot of Bajans like the local carrots. So we're looking to see how we can boost the agricultural production across these various farming districts, but obviously we need to address the issue of water. And that's why we have been pushing these projects over the past several years, and we have really received the support from the government of Barbados in terms of expanding these networks across the island.
Before long, the fields will be ready for harvest. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Government has introduced legislation to ensure vessel-related and water sports activities are conducted in a safe and sustainable manner. That legislation, the Shipping Domestic Vessels Bill, is currently before the lower house. Minister of Tourism and International Transport Ian Gooding-Etchell says the existing Shipping Act does not align to international maritime standards. He says the small vessel sector remains a tremendous asset, and the Shipping Domestic Vessels Bill recognizes its importance and contribution. He provided insight into what the legislation covers.
The purposes of the bill, as it clearly indicates, is to provide for the registration of small vessels and water sports devices. It's going to regulate the marine activities of domestic vessels, water sports devices, small vessels operating within Barbados' waters, of course. It is going to have an element of the inspection, surveys, and safe operations of vessels, moorings, and maritime facilities. We obviously want to promote and maintain higher standards and conduct of competence of persons operating domestic vessels within our space. We'd also provide for the effective enforcement of safety of life at sea and the conduct of the vessel. And of course, we are seeking to protect the maritime environment from any adverse impact of vessel-related activities.
In his contribution to the debate, Minister of National Beautification and the Blue-Green Economy, Adrian Ford, says heavy machinery will not be used to remove the sargassum seaweed because he will not kill a single turtle. He told the lower house that with World Ocean Day being celebrated tomorrow, June the 8th, under the Awaken New Depths, it is very appropriate that legislation is coming with the build-out of a sector which for years was crying out for order. He was making reference to jet skis and pleasure cruises, catamarans and gaming fishing. Ford says a number of people were generating AI images of large equipment on beaches, but he believes the jobs the many men and women are doing is excellent since the biosystems are being protected.
I want to thank those workers today who work by the sweat expenditure to ensure that every time they come in, because unlike what videos, as I said, this social media and AI and all those things can create all sorts of fancy things. As much as persons may be sending around videos showing heavy equipment in other countries being used on the beach, I just expose the fact that the turtle and our animal life and our biodiversity on the beaches must be protected.
Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Cadell, supported the bill. She says it provides many opportunities in a sector which needs building out.
We realize that we need to bring some order to some sectors in order to create and foster opportunity for everyone. And so I think that the bill, it is so tremendously thorough and really covers everything that one could think might be relevant to creating an industry from our oceans and from the shipping sector and from everything else that this legislation covers.
Opposition leader Ralph Thorne also welcomed the bill, noting it will regulate conduct in the maritime sector.
In the sea, there seemed to be no regulation of that marine environment. You were at the risk, you were at the mercy of a high-speed boat going up and down, and as I said, the driver of the boat used to be looking back at the skier, and you were there praying that he doesn't run you over. It got worse when the jet skis came, because again, the jet ski was rented out to amateur drivers, and sometimes they were children.
Coming up, Barbados and other regional countries assured of support from CRIF. Days into the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season, the CRIF SPC, formerly the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, has committed to assisting Barbados and other member countries. This was signaled by its Chief Executive Officer, Isaac Anthony, who was participating in the Resilience Dialogue, reflecting on 20 years post-Hurricane Ivan, a time capsule event.
In the case, on the one hand, we provide products, so development banks such as CDB,
right,
the World Bank, IDB, they do have financial products, loans, etc. But on the other hand, they do have programs that helps to support the socio-economic development of countries, of their members, and to help build resilience. And we're doing the same thing, but more on the insurance side.
Right.
So we will continue to do that. We will certainly help to scale up by adding additional products. I mean, we've done so much.
Executive Director of the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, Elizabeth Riley, revealed post-Hurricane Ivan, elements of the regional response mechanism were revisited.
We've deepened capacity through working with the regional security system to have on standby. Now we have 2 CARICOM disaster relief unit teams. We have more deployment personnel trained across the region. We built out greater partnerships with a number of international entities, NGOs, because we recognize we didn't have the resources within the region to address multiple impacts ourselves. The second area I would say is in terms of how we intentionally have worked now to leverage science and technology to inform the decision making.
An appeal to members of the public to be wary of leaving electrical fans and cell phones chargers plugged in. The call from station officer at the Barbados Fire Service, Marlon Small, following a blaze on Wednesday at Risk Road in St. James. That fire resulted in at least 10 people, 9 adults and a child, being displaced after 5 houses were damaged by the fire. According to reports, 1 wooden structure was destroyed around 24 minutes after 6 in the evening. 2 properties were extensively damaged, while 2 others received slight damage from the radiating heat. 2 water tenders and 10 officers under the command of Station Officer Small initially responded to the blaze. However, owing to the intensity of it, an additional appliance was requested. No injuries were reported from the incident. The picturesque lawns of the British High Commission's Benmar House were transformed into a replica of Buckingham Palace. Barbadian dignitaries and other officials were treated to a taste of England to mark King Charles' 75th birthday. Rachel Agard attended that event and filed this report.
Guests were treated to rhythmic vibes of the Tuck Band, a virtual reality experience, and the opportunity to get up close and personal with the ICC T20 Men's Cricket World Cup trophy. These events were all a part of King Charles's 75th birthday celebrations at the British High Commissioner's residence. Snow cones, fish and chips, and other culinary delights were also on offer as guests dined on the picturesque lawns of Benmar House. British High Commissioner Scott First Dunwood says in celebrating the King's birthday, they are also celebrating relations between the United Kingdom and Barbados.
It's a dynamic relationship, one that continues to evolve. It's one that features extensive cooperation in all sorts of areas. And it's one which demonstrates to this day our shared commitment to working together to make the world a better place, working together to promote democracy, working together to tackle climate change. It's a relationship which we are proud to champion, and one which we work hard every day to strengthen and to make relevant for future generations.
Additionally, His Excellency First Dunwood says this year there's another reason to celebrate, that of the ICC T20 Men's Cricket World Cup currently being hosted across the region. So it was no surprise that the Barmy Army, some of whose members delivered a rendition of Jerusalem, was in attendance. Also present was cricketing legend Joel Big Bird Garner.
I say that cricket brings us together. It brings us together particularly closely when we have 2 Barbadians on the England cricket team. And we'll be looking forward very much We didn't quite get to see Chris Jordan and Jofra Archer in action yesterday because the rain had other ideas for us, but we're very much looking forward to seeing them on the pitch very soon in pursuit of the trophy that many of you will have seen as you came into this garden this evening.
Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Carrie Simmons lauds the United Kingdom, which he describes as a wonderful partner in many regards.
But above and beyond all else, the United Kingdom is now a very important partner in the sphere of our environmental protection effort. And as small island developing states, we have yet another vulnerability. Our vulnerability is that really and truly one climatic event can set back our growth development trajectory by as much as 20% in the space of maybe a 3 or 4 hour event taking place.
He says King Charles is an ally in many ways, including lending his voice to championing the environment before his ascension to the throne. Further, Minister Simmons knows the World Cup taking place on small island developing states is a welcome development.
There is obviously a very clearly understood thread of connection between tourism and commerce on these islands and the game of cricket. And if you're in any doubt about that, one only has to look at the financial statistics, which soar whenever we have, in particular, a British Test series taking place in the Caribbean. But that is true, really, for any form of cricket that is taking place in the region.
Both countries now look forward to the outcome of the T20 Men's World Cup and fostering further relationships. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Thank you, Rachel. KFC Oystins has been closed again. CBC News understands the air conditioning has not been working for 2 weeks, making conditions unbearable for staff. Reports also suggest that staff have been told they won't be paid for the night. The employees are meeting with their representatives, the Barbados Workers Union. Of course, we'll update you as details come in.
The Business Report is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Insurance and Social Security Service. More than a contribution, it's your lifeline.
In business tonight, a new liquor has been added to the spirits industry of Barbados, an initiative of the Foursquare Rum Distillery and Massey Stores. It is named in honor of one of Barbados and West Indies' cricketing greats. Trevor Thorpe reports.
This is the Desmond Haynes Dorley's Rum. It's a 14-year-old special edition spirit that has been in the making for some time, but delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Development manager at Foursquare, Candace Small, told guests at the launching and signing ceremony at Massey Worthing Christchurch it comes in time for the ICC T20 World Cup.
Our partnership was a long process in making, but it is one that we are very proud of. We are very, very happy to work with the Right Honourable Dr. Desmond Haynes and to have the opportunity to showcase our 14-year-old special edition rum. No other rum in this class you can ever experience. And this will take you on a journey that you're definitely going to want to experience again.
The former dashing Barbados and West Indies opener gave the thumbs up for the new rum.
I'm also very happy to be in partnership with Foursquare and also with Dorley's, because our Dorley's is a very old rum and a lot of Barbadians enjoy Dorley's rum, and having this 14-year-old, I believe it's a good special addition, and I hope that a lot of people would buy it and enjoy it as well.
The cricketing great said the Dorley's name has been around for some time and recalled his early days at the Carlton Cricket Club.
In the early days, as a youngster at Carlton, I always used to see the guys at Carlton drinking Dorley's rum. So Dorley's has been a very famous rum in Barbados for quite some time, and I'm happy to be associated now with Foursquare in this 14-year-old special.
The Dorley's Desmond Haynes Special Edition rum is a blend from the traditional artisanal copper pot still at the award-winning Foursquare Rum Distillery. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Corporate Barbados has been urged to do more in support of youth development. This from President of the Barbados Youth Development Council, Caleb Brathwaite. Speaking on Morning Barbados, he suggests there is a corporate social responsibility crisis in Barbados.
young people have the solutions to the challenges that we face as young people, but also to the challenges that we face in terms of nationally. But when we go to action those challenges, there's no financial resources. I remember doing a project in Barbados. I wanted to host a community soccer round. Actually, I would have had the opportunity to speak about it on the program End the Violence, and I wanted to do it in May. We reached out to about 13 companies right in Barbados, and we know which are profitable. And we only had one financial donation, $1,000, and I would like to publicly thank Williams Industries for giving us that $1,000 to do the project, but we had to renegotiate it to be able to put it into another project.
Time for the second half in sports as we were joined by Anne-Marie Burke. Anne-Marie?
Yes, Pearson, I promised basketball. Queen's College A continued their strong run in the National Sports Council Schools Under-15 basketball competition with their latest win over Alexandra. Queen's College traveled north, ironically, to Queen Street to play Alexandra on their home court. And it was the boys from Husbands who reigned supreme. With that basket was Cristiano Scott. It started as a low-scoring affair of the QC boys serving up both strong defense and offense. The ball is heading back down court again, and this time the playmaker is Garnet Abbott. And where those were QC's only 2 baskets of the first quarter, Alexandra registered just 1. And it was Andrew Brooms with a nice floater as the first quarter ended 4-2 in QC's favor. And it was the Husbands boys who got the first basket of the second, free in the circle and easily executing Nashawn Allen. But Alexandra came back with a vengeance, and what happened in the second was better defense and using the turnovers to their advantage. Again, finishing the play was Brooms, as at the half it was locked 8-all. Third quarter now, and this is where QC went into overdrive, shutting down their opponents. Abbott finds Kimani Maynard, who gets his first basket of the game. It was from there that the Maynard show started. Here he goes coast to coast before the easy one-arm layup. Alexandra was really struggling as QC had them on a tight leash. Another steal and another basket for Maynard, who had a game-high 14. A lone basket is all the Queen Street boys could get, and they truly fought for it, making the play all his was Ikoris Brathwaite just inside the arc. But there was no stopping the boys from QC, who ended the third up 22-10 before going on to claim the game at 28-15.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we will see you tomorrow.